kindly let me know if you see my screen. Okay, so the whole idea about the voluntary national reporting is, I'm sure we are all familiar with that, specifically because in 2019, Ghana did its very first, and this year is our second time as a country. And it's the opportunity the UNDESA provides for itself and for countries who have signed up to the SDGs to, on their own, assess progress that has been made towards the attainment of the SDGs. And so every year, at the high-level political forum, which is a meeting of government and high-profile people within government and the UN, when they meet to talk about the SDGs and development in general, they provide the opportunity for countries to self-assess themselves with respect to the progress that has been made, and share stories and examples of innovation, partnerships in place, frameworks put in place that is helping them achieve the SDGs. And obviously, where there are challenges, also it affords other countries to share experiences to help these countries that self-assess themselves to be able to come back on track. So it's a platform for learning, a platform for sharing. And as a result of that, it's government-led. The voluntary national reporting itself is a government business. It has nothing to do with government takes leadership, government prepares the report. The framework is already established, but it will be, so for instance, it will be the government of Ghana presenting it, not anybody else. It has to be the government of Ghana. And as part of the process, they are supposed to do a lot of consultations. They are supposed to touch base with key stakeholders within the country. But ultimately, the report is a government of Ghana report. And as civil society, whatever goes into that report, we may like it, we may not like it, we may agree, we may disagree, but your opportunity to influence that is in a way carved within a certain framework which can be restrictive. Fortunately for us, the SDG implementation architecture has the CSOs Platform as a member of the implementing coordinating committee, which in a way gives the voice of civil society represented in how the voluntary national reporting is done. Now, the idea of shadow reports, which by its name suggests that it is not the main report, but it is a reflection of the main report, basically is that it gives civil society the opportunity to also report nationally, or also produce a report to say that, well, government said this is how much progress or no progress we have made. But in speaking with citizens, in touching base with our constituents, in touching base with communities, this is how we also perceive progress has been made. So a shadow report is a report of the citizens, capturing perceptions, opinions, capturing viewpoints on successes that have been made under the SDGs or any global goal, but in this context under the SDGs. And so it gives us the opportunity to provide feedback on the process and the frameworks implementing the SDG itself, and then respective to the various goals, the progress and or no progress that has been made with respect to the SDGs itself. So in a space of 3-4 minutes, this is the whole concept of a shadow report. It is not a report that you put out there to critique. It's not a report you put out there to to say that we want to bash government or we want to know. It's a report that captures the broader perspective of citizens. And then on the back of that, you can do your advocacy and engagement, saying that we found this, we found that, and we think if we put in these structures, we should be able to address some of the challenges we have found. And so in 2019, narrowing down back to the Ghana practice, in 2019, as part of the voluntary national reporting, the platform at the time with funding from GIZ and some of our members were able to put together a shadow report. And as was agreed in a way with government, the platform was given the opportunity to make an oral presentation, a summary oral presentation as part of government's own presentation at the high-level political forum. And so our senior colleague, some of our senior colleagues were given the nod to be part of government delegation. Not that they were there as government staff, but they were given, as part of government delegation, they were given access to almost all the meetings that were being held at the high-level political forum, which was something civil society advocated for because it was a good learning platform for civil society, as we thought at the time, and which we think is also. This year, the question had been, do we still do a shadow report? And the answer overwhelmingly has been yes. And so for a good number of time, we've tried and we've knocked, we've tried, we've knocked, we've tried, we've knocked. And funding came quite late and not as huge as we had expected, but funding came. And so this year, again, we will be doing a shadow report. And the goal, essentially, is to ensure that the voices of the citizenry are not left behind in the 2022 Ghana's voluntary national review process. In the report government is presenting, government will speak to data, data from data generators, the Ghana Statistical Service, the National Health Insurance, the National Identification Authority, name them, GRA, all the government institutions who, per their work and mandate, generate some form of data. Those will be the areas and the avenues government will pick data from in reporting on the progress made or otherwise under the SDGs. And some few months ago, we, as part of our partnership with the NDPC, circulated templates with which we were harvesting case studies and success stories for to be part of the process. And so in context, the case studies will be some of the qualitative write-ups to complement the quantitative write-up that government will get from its data generators. And so if we mentioned that we have achieved 80% of girls being in school, a case study from a civil society detailing how some of the actions that we have taken will then find its meaning in the report. So that was the whole idea. Now, back to the shadow report, what we seek to do is to document the perceptions and opinions of the citizenry on the implementation of SDGs in Ghana. Do people know about SDGs beyond our space? Are citizens even aware? When you go out there and you talk about SDGs, both in the urban and rural communities, is this something that easily resonates with people? So this is to give us the opportunity to do that. And second objective, to catalog some innovative approaches civil society organizations are using in programming towards the SDGs. So the various activities we do as civil society, programs we do, donor funded, IGF funded. This is to give us the opportunity to also tell our story, that this is how we are also contributing towards achieving the SDGs. And then to also highlight the partnership approaches adopted in the implementation of the SDGs in Ghana. And so what partnerships have we built? And here, more focus being on the Goal 17. How are we not leaving anyone behind? How are we rallying resources together to ensure that the SDGs are being achieved? So in context, this is what is guiding us in the shadow reporting process for this year. In terms of activities, I mentioned that we have some, well, limited funding. I usually don't like qualifying funding. Funding is funding, even if it's 2 cities, it's funding. They could have used it for something else, but they opted to use it for this process. And so Action for Sustainable Development based in the UK, on an annual basis, allocate some funding for civil society platforms, coalitions, organizations who whose countries are doing the voluntary national review and who have interest in producing a shadow report. And so in discussions with them, and as part of the process of acquiring the funding, there's an existing scorecard which we have the opportunity to analyze, you have the opportunity to make input into. And so that has already been done. And the first plan is to have an online version which will be deployed. So we share it on Facebook, on emails, websites, and float it around. And that will target the broader masses to get feedback from the broader masses on the respective arrangements in place for the SDGs, respective goals, how they perceive the performance of government have been. Then we will have what we call the national consultation, basically looking to have about a maximum 200 targeted participants who would also be exposed to the scorecard. Again, harvesting the same feedback. So I'll show the scorecard at the end of this, so it will put things in context. And then the activity 3 is in a way to ensure that no one is left behind. And so we will seek to do targeted citizen group consultations. What we have put here are just examples. So we have women and girls, children and young people, older persons, persons with disabilities, small-scale farmers and retailers across the country. And so it can then be disaggregated into various target groups. So women in mining, and these are just examples. Women, cocoa farmers associations in mining communities. It could be petty traders associations. It could be teenagers, teenage mothers. It could be trot drivers, just target groups that ultimately you can frame and capture around the issue of vulnerability. And the two combined, the two national consultations, which will speak with civil society organizations as organizations, plus the citizens target groups consultations, will then give us the basis to do a data analysis and a report writing preparation. So once the scorecard has been administered in that way, all the feedback that will come, all the aggregated feedback, individual feedback, will then become the basis to prepare our shadow report. And to do this, a 3-member working committee has been set up. And by way of membership, it is made up of Ghana Integrity Initiative. It's also made up of Youth Advocates Ghana. Of course, Sent Ghana, the host of the platform, is also a member, and some volunteer individuals who have also volunteered to be part of the technical working committee. So in all, the members are 3, but extended to 5 because I am also part of that working committee. And so they will provide all the guidance in terms of the writing of the reports, in terms of the processes, the guidelines, and overseeing that the ensuring quality and all of that. And once we have a draft report, the idea will be to do a national validation. So the national validation will center around the steering committee of our platform. And we are saying there will be extended. The steering committee is roughly 36 members, but we seek to extend it to about 100 participants for this particular validation process. Then the input from the validation will get reflected into the report, and then the final report is done. So in terms of activities, in terms of process, this is what has been agreed, and this is what is guiding us going forward. So why we are here this morning? We are here this morning particularly around the activity 1.3, which is the consultation with select citizen groups. And the idea here is to have member organizations who have easy access to some of these target groups to lead the consultations at the regional and district levels. And so the expected role, we have the first being collaborations in organizing regional consultations. Expected role is that, as an example, if Send Ghana is partnering with the process in that way, we will expect Send to be able to reach out to worst case 10 members of, say, women in a great group or petty traders group, a minimum of 10, a maximum of 20 for a sitting and for a consultation. And so if Send is able to reach out to a minimum of 10, a maximum of 20 such people, they'll facilitate the workshop. So someone from Send who would have received some briefing and training on the scorecard will expose the women group, the target group, to the scorecard. The scorecard cuts across all the 17 goals. But the essence of it is that if you are speaking with, say, a target group that is familiar with SDG 13, you only administer the scorecard on SDG 13. If the target group is familiar with, say, SDG 15, or if it's a fishing community and they are only familiar with the SDG 14, you only administer the scorecard on the SDG 14. And the reason is that it's not so much the feedback on all the goals, but it's so much on the quality of the feedback on the select goals. So that if the person doesn't have any idea on SDG 6 on water, and you don't go and ask on those ones. You administer on the goal that the target group is familiar with and can give you concrete feedback on that. Then we have the second line of partnerships to be technical and financial support. And this was put there because I said we received funding, but it is not a $2 million fund. So obviously, if our members or some of our members have funds to support the process, there is room available to be able to support the process. I'll give examples without mentioning the institutions. One organization, in principle, has agreed that once we are done with the report and all of that, they will support us in printing. Another is also supporting us with some funds to do the validation. And then another has also agreed to provide funds to help us do the launch and the media engagements. So the room for members to provide support is so that if you already have an ongoing project and you want to support, you say that, well, we can't organize the consultation, but we have some $50,000 lying down. Come for it, use it to support the process. Then this is the opportunity that the process offers you to be part of it. Now, with the initial collaborations in organizing the regional consultations, there will be some commitments on that score, but it will basically be if you are mobilizing, the cost of mobilization and the cost of that facilitation, your organization would have to bear it. So if you are bringing, say, 10 market women to your office, or you are going there into the community to speak with them, the essence of the partnership is that you cater for your transportation to the community, or if they're coming to you, you are able to cater for the cost of their transportation. If you want to buy some snack, if you are taking them to, not to your office, but to a hotel, conference room, you are able to cater for that mobilization cost. So basically for the initial one on the regional consultation, that is the expectation. Of course, if you are giving us the money and asking us to do it, then we'll have to agree how you want the secretariat to account for it ultimately. So says go to Excel. Go to Excel meaning I have to show you the work plan that we have in place. I don't know if the Excel is clear enough. Joseph, is it clear enough? Are you able to see?
No. It's not clear.
But the Excel sheet is showing.
Yes, the spreadsheet is showing. We can manage it like this for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I can zoom it, so I'll be able to see.
Okay, so today is 20th May. So we are on the on the column D, the number 2, we are at the end of it, which means that the scorecard has been reviewed, feedback and finalized, and we are currently developing and finalizing the online scorecard to be deployed. And this has been so because, as I said, the scorecard is already developed in consultation with Action for Sustainable Development. From the week of the 23rd, or between the week of the 23rd and the week of 30th of May, this 2-week period is a period in which we do the consultations, both the one for civil society groups themselves and the one for select citizen groupings. And so we have that 2-week period to do the consultation. So women, children, women and young people, older person with disabilities, small scale farmers, the list can go on, petty traders association, market associations, you can list them so far as they fall within the frame of being vulnerable. So migrants, young migrants, refugees, name them. If you work with such group and you will be able to reach out to them, you let us know, we will update it and then accordingly assign you to do the consultation on with those particular groupings. So once we maybe, I don't know, so the week of the 6th of June, by which time, no, the week of the 30th of May, which is starting from next week, next 2 weeks, the expectation is that we will be able to start consolidating the analysis and the report writing from the consultations. And once that is done, then from the week of the 6th of June, the first draft, between the week of the 6th of June and the week of the 20th of June, a first draft is shared, is reviewed, is finalized. So by the week of the 20th of June, we should have a final report done. It's a tight schedule, But again, because of the use of the scorecard, the turnaround time in terms of the report writing should not be as much as the previous one, which was practically a research done that needed to tick and check all the boxes of research work. Okay, so the next major one is the national validation of the report. The week of the 27th of June. Then the finalization of the report, the week of the 4th of July. By this time and around this time, the high-level political forum would already be in session. But this year, because we didn't receive the funding early, we haven't been able to engage with government through the NDPC to have our report presented alongside theirs. There are already talks to get civil society participation as part of the government delegation, but it hasn't been firmed up yet. But we've had that discussion this far. So once that is firmed up, we will, through the co-chairs and the steering committee, make the determination as to who will be able to go. We can't get you visa. I think the last time they had a way they went around it. So it doesn't seem like we are involved in the procurement of visa for people and all of that. So in terms of timelines, the design and the printing and dissemination, all of that will be in August. And this coincides with the time where government will also be doing its launch and dissemination. The report, the national report, will not be disseminated before the high-level political forum. So once they come back, they'll do the dissemination, and we'll be ready to do our own dissemination. And then the advocacy and the engagements will take shape and move on from there. So I don't know if I should speak on the scorecard itself, or I can break here, and if there are any questions so far, we can answer them, and then we go to the issue of the scorecard. Thank you. So if you have any question, kindly use the raise of hand gesture, and then I'll come to you and you'll be able to ask your question, please. No questions. Okay, Alberta, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for the presentation. Could you, if I have you right,
please go on.
The administration of the scorecard will be done. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, please.
Yeah. If I heard you right, the administration of the scorecard will be done by the resource person from St. Ghana. Is it right?
No. Okay, you go on. When you are done, I will respond.
Could you please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sure colleagues can also hear you.
So did you hear what I said?
So I was saying that once you are done with your question, then I will provide the answer so that we don't interject ourselves.
Okay. Then, how many, for instance, you made mention of women, girls, children, and others. So how many are we to identify and work with? Aside the a particular number in a group. For instance, you said a minimum of 10 for, let's say, women, and a maximum of 20. Okay, so after a particular group, can we also identify another group, different set of group, or one group will be better? Thank you.
Thank you. So we go to Blessla, please. You have the floor.
Hello, good morning. Thank you, Kojo. And so I'm looking at the areas that you mentioned that you might require partnership. I just wanted to find out if a partner is available to provide support in terms of with the organization or personnel during the consultation meetings. How would that work? And if we can also know when you'll be doing the consultation meetings. I'm in Northern Region, so in Northern Region, so that we can see how we can schedule to be able to provide that support. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdul.
All right, thank you. Presentation, and my question, just as Alberta rightly asked, when the consultations will be done. That's one aspect. And two, you said you made mention of the gender segregation, how it will be done. So I don't know, is it an organization or the entire CSOs platform that you are talking about? Thank you.
Okay. Eric, please, you have the floor. Hello, Eric.
Thank you, Kojo. Good morning. Thank you, Kojo. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I think it was a very good presentation. Only my problem has been I've been on and off due to network issues. So I was wondering if you would be able to share your presentations with us, and also to find out which particular regions are your priority, or is it across the country? And per each of the NGOs, what will be the scope like? Will it be a district, regional level, or what's exactly? Thank you.
Thank you. So let me start with Alberta. Alberta's question. In terms of the administration of the scorecard, I mean, within a 2-week period, it will be extremely impossible to have one person go around the country to administer the questionnaire. Even if we were to do it in Accra, it would be quite impossible to do that. So the idea is to have individual partner organizations administer on behalf of the committee or as part of the process. So for instance, Alberta's organization will administer the scorecard in your district, in your town, or in your community. And then the aggregated data will be sent to the Secretariat to be part of the broader consultation that will take place. And so that is the idea. We will have, once we have the full list of organizations who we'll work with, and if the scorecard is not so complicated, actually, but we will touch on it before the meeting ends. We will have a short training session, 1 hour, 2 hour training session, just take members through the various areas and how to do it. I'm sure a lot of us, I mean, the idea of a scorecard is not new to civil society. So even to say training, okay, I'm using it carefully. We just touch base on it get people familiarized with it. Then you can do the administration, but it has to be within the 2-week period we are allocating for it. Other than that, it will become difficult for us to use it for the report itself. In terms of the groupings, so there is no cap as to how many groupings a partner organization can reach out to. So if you have access, for instance, to vulnerable women or vulnerable adolescent girls or adolescent boys, and you can mobilize between the 10 and the 20 and administer today the scorecard, and then maybe tomorrow you can also have access to the aged and administer, and then after tomorrow you can also have, so as many of the groups, there's no cap on it. We will not say just do 2 and stop. As you are willing and as you are able, you can administer, just that they have to be segregated in those groupings to make it meaningful to be part of the report. In terms of the question Blesla asked, so for instance, I know Blesla works with the Power to Use and seated at NOSAC. So NOSAC can say, well, we want to gift Blesla to the process to help with the data analysis, to help with the report writing, to help with some of the coordinating work. So within the northern regions, there are 500 partners doing various consultations. So we want Blesla to be the focal person for the whole of the northern region. So then once we know the organizations who are doing all the consultations, Blesla becomes the focal person, checking in on people, things that if Blesla doesn't become available, the national coordinator will have to do. So on that score, that kind of collaboration is also available, where the technical time of staff of an organization is given to support the process. Now, the other consultation which I mentioned, which is the one with civil society, that will be led on by the National Secretariat / the technical committee. So in that call, it will also take place within the 2-week period. It will also take place within the 2-week period. It could be next week, Wednesday, it could be next 2 weeks, Monday. But currently the discussion is to use our respective sub-platforms to go through that process. I mentioned the target is to do about 200 civil society organizations. We have 18 platforms, national sub-platforms. We have 16 district platforms. So the consideration and the suggestion from the technical committee is to have a consultation with each of the sub-platforms, so a minimum 10, a maximum 15 of the sub-platforms, and then that covers for the civil society national consultation session. And so that is the proposed approach as approved by the technical working committee. The question around gender disaggregation, not sure I understood exactly, but the essence of it is that the targeted groups and the selection of every other group should take gender into consideration. So if you are bringing young people and there are 20 young people, we expect that you mix it up. So there should be 12 women, 8 men. There should be 12 young boys, 8 young girls, 12 old men, 8 young men, 10 in half in half is fine. But the gender angle should not be overlooked. So it's important that we do that. If you were, for instance, just inviting young people, but you want to disaggregate even further, and you want to bring a young person with disability, and you can be able to factor in his inclusion by addressing any other inhibiting issues that his disability presents, we are also open to that. So if it is a person with hearing impairment and you brought him and there is no translator or sign language expert, then that would be a challenge, that would be a difficulty. So that is the discussion this far. I don't know if I answered that question. And Eric, to be honest, I don't know if I understood your question entirely. So I don't know if you are able to ask again, and I'll attempt an answer. Colleagues, any of the responses I gave, if in Chi, you say that so maybe it hasn't entered your ear well, and you want to further clarify, kindly come on and do that. Thank you.
Yeah, Kojo, thank you very much for the opportunity. Sorry you couldn't hear me. The network here has been very erratic. So myself, I've been on and off all your presentation. What I was asking for was whether you're going to share the presentations with us, because some have been out and on and out and on. So thank you very much.
Definitely. Not just the presentation, the concept notes, any other information, we'll pass it on. Colleagues, any question, any clarification? So let me touch on the part about the funding and the financial support bit. So civil society, giving money to civil society sometimes becomes a bit problematic, institutional wise. So, and the whole essence is to get access to the funds to be able to do the work. And so if, for instance, you want to support, but you are not sure, if I give this money to Kojo, he will use it the way I want to use it, or he'll buy a new car for himself and the wife and the kids. But so I want to do the due diligence myself. That is allowed. So you have access to the money. We agree on what the money is used for. You let us know the process we have to put in place to be able to access the money, still within your organizational procurement structures. We'll go through that. So you don't have to send the money to us as the secretariat. The money can still be with you. But if we were buying pens, or we are buying a car, we are buying, we are paying the TNT reimbursement or anything, then we'll go through the process as you will advise, and then payment gets effected from your end. So the issue of trust and mistrust doesn't crop up at all. So that is the other consideration you have. If there is any question, and just to also add, this is not part of the shadow reporting, but the Youth Advocates Ghana, I'm sure we all know of them, the organization that conducts the Youth SDGs annual meeting, is also leading the process of preparing a Youth SDG report. I'm sure maybe some of us may have seen email circulars requesting for some case studies and the likes. So it's also important that if we have seen that and we want to contribute towards that process, sharing a case study with them is good. Already, some of the case studies that were shared with us, which we shared with the NDPC, I have not seen the draft of the report, so I do not know which of them have reflected in the national report itself. But because some of the stories came through us, or we were in copy, obviously in the shadow reports, we also have the opportunity to sample from those case studies to enrich the stories that the reports that we will write. And I'm sure at the point of finalizing the report, Emmanuel and his team would be happy to also pass on any of such case studies to also help us with our shadow report. So please, if you have seen that circular on their part, kindly also pay attention to that and be part of that process. This is an opportunity for us to exhibit more, I would say, credibility, to show that yes, we are also working on the SDGs and this is what we are also doing. Not as yourself an organization, but as of all of us as a sector. So let's buy into the process. I will project the scorecard. We have almost about 35 minutes or less to wrap up. So I'll project the scorecard and touch a bit on it. And then we use the next few minutes to wrap up. So this is the scorecard and how it looks. The first part will be the accumulated score from our end. So this will be after we have received everything. This is how we will compile it. The country, the name of responder, contact email, and all of that. So this is you can not pay attention to it. The score is from -5 to +5. 0 being no progress, and 1 being very small progress or very small reduction. Let me do it this way so we see it well. 2 being small reduction, medium reduction, large reduction, or very large reduction. So the further you go from 0, the further you go from any form of progress. So as an example, maybe in 2019, because we did the voluntary national report in 2019, the issue of teenage pregnancy was maybe 50% among teenage girls. But now it's almost a 90%. So, of course, if you are grading that, then it means you are getting into the areas of the -4 and the -5. Because if progress can be staggered, then retrogression can also be staggered. So that is the whole essence. If we have achieved progress extremely high, then the 5 can be very high progress, or higher progress, or a medium progress, or lower progress, or a very low progress. So the essence of it is to first understand on this particular issue, have we achieved progress or retrogression? If we have achieved progress, then on the progress side, you now need to understand and decide whether it is extremely high or it's just minor progress. So if it is very high progress, then you are in the regions of the 4 and the 5. If it is just medium or in between progress, then you are in the regions of the 2s and the 3s. Same way, have we retrogressed? Okay, we agree we have retrogressed, so we are on the side of retrogression. Will we grade it as retrogression that is very, very worse, or it is just in between, or it is manageable? So this is how the scale, the scoring is. So if you come here, this is about, so the first aspect is about the national plans and strategies. There is a sheet that details out this. There's a sheet that gives more detail under each of the, so for instance, one says national development plans, strategies and budget, policy and legal framework as the second area of grading, institutions with clear mandate to implement the SDGs, implementation at the national level, implementation at the sub-national level, monitoring and evaluation and reporting mechanisms, transparency and accountability, awareness and capacity development, then multi-stakeholder partnership, civil society participation. And some of the cross-cutting themes are on progress since last VNR, how is the leave no one behind mantra being implemented, planetary bodies, delivery by CSOs. So if you now come under, you come here, it gives you, it asks you questions to help you understand what you'll be grading against. And so under the one which is about national development plan, strategies, and budget, these are some of the questions. If applicable, what is the nature of the government mechanisms? Is the governance mechanism based on an existing council or committee, the newly created council or committee? So we ask you questions. These are several questions, and based on which you are able to do the assessment and the grading. So on the scorecard scale, colors, can we change one to another yellow color? Wait. I think, Zachariah, thank you for that. But I think the focus more should be on the number. So the -1 should be much more. I don't think we will need that. We use the colors in terms of the day and administration, the numbers more. So should be more of our focus. And then once we are done and we are doing the report writing, we can, your suggestion about the color coding can come in. But in terms of administering it on ground, we focus on the numbers. So the -1, the -2. Then, so under the National Development Plan, Budget and Strategy, these are some of the questions. How far do you see effective policy coherence within the national SDG framework? Does the policy approach include a recognition of interrelated nature, social, environmental? Has the SDG implementation been costed, and sources of financing? So these are some of the questions for us to help people to grade. Institutional support, public agencies, again, questions under it, implementation policies, actions, questions to help you understand implementation of policy action plans, strategies at the sub-national level. Are local government in your country actively engaged in the 2030 agenda and the SDGs? If so, how? How has there been a process to integrate the SDGs in the local and sub-national development plans? So you are, this is just an example. You are in the Mampon Municipal Assembly. You are speaking with the women groups there. You want to find out if they are aware of this. If they say we are not aware, then we know we are on the retrogression scale. They are not aware, as in they've not heard of it at all. They have no idea of it at all. So that helps you to grade for that particular group. If they have heard of it, to what extent are they knowledgeable about it? So the group discusses, they give a score, and then you take it. So these will help you to understand the various categories with which the scoring is to be done. Then the cross-cutting themes, these are the questions. I think the planetary bodies, I don't know if it's applicable to us, but so it gives the explanation up there. Then, so for each of the goals, it is there. So for goal 1, as I initially mentioned, you are not to do it for all the goals, because there's nobody in Ghana who will say they have understanding of all the goals. So if the group you are engaging with are familiar with 1, 2, 3, pick the goal that they are very familiar with and administer the session under that for them. But I mean, this is the consolidated guide, so it has all the goals listed. Let me just run through to the end. You would see that on the tail end of the score, it provides assessment and comments. So any verbal comments they give or reasons they give or what explanatory notes to help the report writing to know, okay, we said 0 because this is the reason why we are saying 0. You capture that under the assessment and the comments. So once you have completed analysis of each of the goals, it is useful to consider the interlinkages between the goals and any potential risk of one goal undermining another goal. At this stage, you should refer back to your earlier assessment of key cross-cutting themes. And so at the community level, you may not need to do this. If you administered it on just one goal, you may not need to do this. But for the people who will be responsible for the report writing, then they would need to do this and try to understand the implication. So if all the assessments that came for goal 1 are, say, extremely negative, then we seek to understand the implication of it for the SDG 13, if it came and all the scoring for SDG 13 was positive. So that will be part of the report writing. Zachariah says that on the scorecard, okay, can you please clarify again the reference point for the assessment? Example, is it from the last VNR or from the last year or since when? My suggestion, and so far, it has been to use the 2019 VNR as the reference point. It makes it easier. So the 2019 VNR as assessment. So once I'm sharing the various documentation, we'll add that. Yes, the recording will be shared. I'll share the recordings. I'll share this particular presentation. I'll share the scorecard as well. There are other documents that pertains to the scorecard. I'll share them. Let me project this other one. Hopefully, I'm not confusing anybody. Joseph, which of the screens do you see currently?
Okay, right now I'm seeing the one with inclusive governance, monitoring and evaluation, yeah, policy, public policy parameters.
Okay. So thank you, Joshua. So these are documents to help understand the scorecard even more. So there are more documentation to understand the scorecard even more. When you come here under the scoring, where you have the no progress, very limited reduction, it gives you much more information with respect to each of the broader thematic areas. You'll be assessing them alongside. So once you talk about strategies, actions, plans, and budgets, if you are saying it's a limited reduction, you say strategies, actions, plans, and budgets are available but have not been partially implemented or funded. So if you do the assessment and you realize that the strategies exist, but they have not been partially funded, then you already have a fair idea where you score it. To say that there has been very significant reduction, say that strategy action plans have been dropped or fundamentally changed. The 4-4 says the actions plans of strategies not only have been implemented, but could be abandoned or fundamentally changed. When you come down to the public policies and legal framework, it also gives you a breakdown. So this is the key to the scoring itself. This document is the key to the scoring itself. So we'll share this also for familiarity. But as I said, we'll have a session to take organizations through and and that session will be solely on the scorecard itself, not anything else. So organizations who will opt to be partners will take them through the scorecard. So there is a common understanding and thread amongst all of us. But I'm just sharing it here because I know there are experts amongst us. About implementation at the subnational level, to score it -5, he says that no SDG localization plan in any city or region being implemented. To score it -4, SDG localization plans are abandoned or fundamentally changed. To score it -3, the localization of SDGs has been reduced. To score it let me go to the progress side. To score it 5, he says that location plans successfully implemented in most cities and regions, and implementation of localization plans in full swing. Implementation of localization plans start to be implemented in cities. So this is the key to know, after your discussions with the group, where to put, which score to use per each of the thematic areas. Hopefully this is clear. There is a third document, which is the broader toolkit. It's a 19-pager. If you have the time, you can read it. I'll share and you can read it. But it puts everything I have described and spoken about today in context. Okay, Eric says no screen at all. So seniors, this is where we are now. I'm still open for questions before we go to the next steps. Questions, or should I be calling people? Should I call people? Hello, Libram. Oh, I'm talking to myself.
No, we are with you. We are with you.
We are with you.
So Moon can't be here. Or my English is not good.
But you are doing wonderful.
The way you guys are quiet is as if my Kumasi English has resurfaced this morning.
We are enjoying it. That's why we are quiet like that.
Yeah, so questions, clarifications, maybe since you saw the email, your boss asked you some questions, you needed clarity, so you came into this meeting. Has those clarities been given?
Please, I would like to ask a question. Maybe this has already been mentioned because I couldn't join in much earlier.
Please go on, sir.
Please, my name is Kobnad Mazalongren. I'm working with FAPMPA Foundation and Tech Farm Hub in Corporadia. My question has to do with the start and the duration for this whole activity. I was not in the initial meeting, so I want to know when this whole activity is to start and the end date and when the reporting processes is going to take place. My second one has to do with the issue of logistics and how the implementation is actually going to take place in terms of mobilizing people for the meetings and issues related to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kobina. So I think we have spoken in detail about that. I could on the side talk to you.
Then I'll hold on for that, and so that it could be progressive.
Yes. My boss Emmanuel Ametepe is here. I have to hear his voice. Ima, can you say something and share with us? And just for context, Ima is one of the members of the technical steering committee, giving their time to support the process. Thank you so much, sir. If you want to say anything, please go ahead.
Right. Thank you very much, Kojo, for the opportunity. You are actually the boss. We are supporting the process, and so I want to thank you for first of all, highlighting the various processes that are ongoing and the upcoming engagements that we all seek the support of everyone. Like you said, this is a whole CSO approach. And so we hope that we can all take advantage of this process to tell our SDG stories better. I know that there are a lot of engagement that are already taking place in terms of how civil society can position themselves to meaningfully engage in the SDG processes. And I think that there can never be a better time to do that than now. Having said that, I think I would briefly want to touch on the youth report that is coming. Like you rightly indicated, we have received quite a number of case studies, and we are currently reviewing them. We are going to be sharing them with you and also with the National Development Planning Commission to pick those that they would like to feature. Of course, they cannot pick all, but they would like to select some of them for their national report. And so if you still have interest, you want to share a case study, please feel free to reach out to us, and I will be happy to assist you in the process. In addition to that, as you know, we are also holding some youth engagement meetings, some consultations, and we have just concluded our discussion with UNFPA to convene 2 meetings. So apparently we have zoned the country into 3 due to logistical constraints, and we were also hoping that the consultations that will take place in the northern sector, hopefully we will participate and be able to generate some youth voices from that meeting. And so we will continue to work with you, and I think the team from NOSAC and the Part Youth Consortium on that. But for the other 2 consultations that will take place, we have one taking place in Koforidua and one taking place in Cape Coast. We are looking at the 1st and 2nd week of June to do that due to the limited time that we have. And we will be extending invitation to a number of organizations to participate in these consultations. And so please look out to receiving invitations from us to be able to engage at the week. So we are looking at the southern belt, which will include Greater Accra, Central, Western North, Volta, and Uti. And this will be in Cape Coast. And then we are looking at the northern belt, Bono East, Ahafo, Ashanti. That will also take place in the Koforidua. So these are some of the engagement that we have, and hopefully we'll have some of you participating in it. Let me conclude, Kojo, by saying that the end result of all of this process is the high-level political forum, and how we are able to tell the story of Ghana on how we are all contributing to the SDGs implementation. And by way of information, let me say that the portal for hosting of side event is open. The UN has opened a portal for organizations who are interested in hosting side event. And I think the deadline is 31st May. And so if any organization is thinking of hosting a side event, or even for us, the platform, of course, all the individual organizations who are interested in maybe co-hosting, YAG is submitting an application, by the way, and our application will focus on youth engagement on the SDGs. And so if anyone is interested in becoming a co-host, a co-partner on that, we are more than happy to welcome the person. Just to clarify, however, that due to the COVID-19 issues, the for civil society side event will be entirely virtual. So just for our information, the event will be entirely virtual. But I do know that they will also open for in-person participation for those who want to participate generally in the highly political forum itself. There will be some in-person participation, but for side events, they will all take place virtually. So just by way of information. Thank you very much, Kojo, for the opportunity. Over.
Thank you, boss. Thank you for the good work. So I'd like to think that I am time conscious. I'll keep to time and leave you. So next time when I call a meeting, you won't say Kojo will overspread his time. In terms of next steps, now we need to know organizations who concretely would want to partner the process. So between now, today is Friday, between now and say end of day Monday, we will be receiving, if you are interested, just drop us an email, indicate the area in terms of region or district that you will be able to cover for us, and then the particular target group that you'll be able to cover for us as part of the process. So once we hear from you, and then we will reach out to you to firm up and to, in a way, conclude on the next steps in terms of how you go about it and all of that. So now the immediate next steps is confirmation of partnerships. So just confirm, indicate the district, the region, the target groups, and how many consultations you'll be able to do. And then we will firm up and move it from there. If it's money you want to give us, like Ima and his group, I'm expecting some $1 million from them. Just let us know. We will give you $1 million, and this is what we need you to do for us to get the $1 million. Just also let us know, and then we will take it from there. We plan so on by end of day Monday, if we have all those confirmations, we'll have the session for the scorecard solely by Tuesday, mid-morning Tuesday. We'll have that 2-hour session. Then between the Wednesday next week till the following weekend, we expect that the consultations will be done. So that basically is the next steps from our end. Once you become a partner, of course, it's a report. So in writing the report, you will have to acknowledge the organization who did what and where they did what and the kind of support they gave us. So that recognition will be officially recognized, both in the reporting and also in the various communications around the reports. So that is what we can also offer. So thank you. Unless there are...
Yeah, could you have a question?
Yes, boss.
Okay, so can two organizations team up and send the expression of interest?
Yes, please.
All right, okay.
So, Robert, your organization and say another organization can say, well, we'll be able to take the whole of the Volta region and, administer the consultation in 20 communities for 200 target groups. We don't have a problem.
All right. Okay.
So, I mean, for a platform that seeks to encourage working together, we can't be against any idea around teaming up to work. So that is very much welcome. Okay. If there is any other question, we are in AOB time. In the next 2-3 minutes, we'll wrap up. Freeman, my boss, Freeman Canton, how are you, sir? Freeman won't mind me. My other boss, Jonathan Kuka, is also here. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. Leveling, also thanks. Trying to greet all my bosses. My boss, Yakubu Zakaria, to thank you. Tina.
Kwejo, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Kwejo, how are you? Yes, I see Kwejo.
Freeman, I'm fine. Oh.
Sorry, I'm in another meeting.
I know.
So I have to step out before I could talk.
You are the big bosses. Thank you all for joining. Alberta, Anthony,
I'm following, but I'm sure
Eric,
we'll have some discussions after this.
Faustina, Jennifer, Joseph, Joshua, Oscar, Joshua Ayayi, Kobina, Mary, Mr. Emmanuel Kwashi, who was the first to join the call, Robert, Samed, Samuel Dela. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time. So we'll be on standby for your confirmation of partnership. Abdul, so please.
Joining from the US. I joined from the US so early here.
Thank you.
It's very important to me. That's why I joined. This is Faustina Boachi.
Thank you, Madam Faustina. Thank you. We appreciate that. Timothy, thank you. I know you are in a meeting in Kumasi and you found ways to join. Thank you so much. So, colleagues, please, I know there will be questions and some further clarifications. To be honest, if you call me and I don't pick, it's not intentional. So if you send a WhatsApp message, I'm sure within the course of the day, I'll be able to respond. If you send
please, the meeting last week, was it earlier this week or last week? And today's the presentations, could you send them by email to us, or you don't have our email addresses?
Please, which of the meetings last week?
Yeah, last week there was a VNR meeting, right? Oh, am I confused?
Yes.
That was not by civil society, that was by the NDPC.
That was the NDPC meeting, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I confused the two. All right.
No problem.
But can we get this at least on the page?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Abdul, yes, district level, district platforms can also apply as a platform or as individual organizations. Yes, you can also apply. It's not apply as such, just indicate interest. Apply makes it so formal. What of the district level? Thanks for the. Okay. So colleagues, thank you so much for your time. And we didn't start with an opening prayer, but we will end with a closing prayer. So Father, we thank you for the lives of colleagues who spent time this morning for a cause that is beyond themselves, but for the good of the country. I pray that by their good intentions, both to develop Ghana, you would also show them favor in their individual lives, that by the time the year ends, we will all acknowledge that indeed we have helped grow Ghana and you have also helped grow us as individuals. We thank you, we bless you. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
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 Okay.
Amen.
Thank you so much and enjoy your weekends.